defended from any question.
Okay, welcome to Talking Famous People. I am the host of Talking with Famous People, Zachary. We have the host of Talking to Famous People, Eric, and we have um, extraordinarily famous person, Tiffany. So, in this video, we're going to talk about addiction in general, or just to mind altering substances.
I'd say, well, I think this subject we could do in general, but I think there does need to be a distinction between those that intoxicate and those that merely, like coffee or cigarettes, that have some sort of impact, but it's not intoxication.
It's mind. Well, some people will classify it into any mind or mood altering drug, which will technically include things like nicotine to a certain extent, but I don't necessarily think they're right.
I don't think nicotine and caffeine count as mind or mood altering drugs because they don't have sufficient impact to say that you're intoxicated.
Maybe not to you, but have you seen... Okay, maybe, but when someone gets horribly addicted to them, the withdrawal from those drugs is similar to that of much more extreme mind mood altering drugs. So there are certain cases where it gets to that level.
Cigarettes, I'd agree. To coffee, I wouldn't. I think that's just
I can quit coffee anytime I want. I just don't want to.
Caffeine?
What?
You seen an extreme caffeine addict try to come off caffeine? It's not pretty.
Well, look, I drink all kinds of caffeine all the time, and then sometimes I don't for days at a time. I don't even notice it.
Me too, but I'm not talking about. I'm talking like hardcore caffeine.
In defense of Tiffany, if I stopped drinking coffee right now, I would go through some hell. There would be some hell I'd have to go through to achieve redemption.
Huh.
It's different for different people.
I drink multiple pots a day, man. Like, I drink a lot of fucking coffee.
I think, like most things, it's exactly the same for everyone.
Faith. Zach is talking.
I think substance affect everything, right?
Yeah, I don't think so either. Let's see what my fucking dogs are doing. Hey, stupid dog, come here.
I tried to quit coffee before and wean myself off by drinking tea, and it did. I tried to switch over to tea, and the headaches were still unbearable, man. It was fucking awful.
It's much less caffeine.
I know. It was awful.
Come on, Compton. Come on, Lacey.
I like my coffee. I just can't. It takes like, the first pot is just to get rid of the morning headache. The second pot is when you start tasting it, you know.
You're a hardcore caffeine addict.
I'm only half joking.
Better taper yourself off. That's got some serious effects on your health.
Ah, fuck it. I'm trying to time it so I die like 10, probably like at the time before I hit diaper stage, you know. That's what I want to accomplish, right? If I turn 30 and I start feeling too healthy, I think I might start smoking cigarettes, you know.
Oh god, you're funny.
Thanks.
I put the little gate here so the dogs won't run down the driveway.
How do you suggest someone should break addiction?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't really like the whole kind of rehab system. I think a big part of it's full of people just trying to make a buck. But at the same time, I don't know that I could have kind of gotten past that initial stint of like just getting off my drug of choice to like clear my head, to really start my life over and start discovering myself and figuring out my real problems, because I really don't think drugs were the core. I don't think they ever are.
Well, that's
yeah, they are. Look, alcohol is the problem, right? It's not me per se, my addictive nature. Yes, I'm addicted by nature, but alcohol specifically is the problem for me. So this is a mistake that I think people make, is they assume that, oh, there's some other cause of your addiction besides the fact that you're a big fucking drug addict. That is not true at all in my case. What is the cause of my drug addiction has always been the same thing. Oh my God, I sure do love these drugs. That's been the cause of it since day one. Oh my God, I hear about these drugs from the DARE officers. Those sound so magical and fun. Those sound like magic potions. I want to take those. And then as soon as I tried it, I was like, oh my God, I'm home. That's drug addiction. Okay, that's different than, oh, well, I have some sort of emotional problem I'm covering up. And nothing to do with that at all.
But it can be kind of a mix of both, I think, for some people. I mean, I have an addictive personality. I had things I was kind of covering up and trying to bottle up. And at the same time, when I finally tried the drugs that I tried, I went, "Oh my God, this is awesome! I'm having so much fun." You know?
This is the only addict I've talked to in the area I come from. I come from a pretty poor area in eastern Kentucky, and this area is completely full of a lot of. There's a lot of pill addicts here. Suboxone, if you've ever heard of that, that's something a lot of people do.
All about the pills. That's what I had to go to rehab for.
Yeah, it's.
Are you from Kentucky?
Oh, Florida.
So there are pills, Suboxone, meth. Meth is a big problem too. There's a lot of shit that goes on here, and luckily I think there's a good. It almost seems like I would say 30% of the city I live in are mostly just degenerates, and the other 70% are like people trying to. They probably at least know. I think take anyone in the city, and you could probably link between one or two people to one drug addict. Like they like you take people that they would know, and you can link at most two people to get to a drug addict.
I get exactly what you're saying.
See what I'm saying? Yeah, like, I think everyone goes. They know someone, or they know someone personally who's going through addiction. In my case, it would be my brother, and.
Are we recording this, by the way?
Yeah, we are.
Oh, we are. I forget that I'm being recorded. But I'm looking in the. No, I'm not looking at the picture. Sorry to interrupt you. Continue.
And like. I had this like eye-opening conversation with him once. So right now he's on house arrest, right? Because he's just fucking bad decisions could be one cause of it, right? But I had this like eye-opening conversation with him where he was telling me about all these like experiences he had, and afterwards I got kind of meta and was just like, well, why do you do this shit? Like, look where it's gotten you. Like, your life is like pretty much shit at the moment.
No dogs.
And I'm inquiring like why. I'm trying to get to the substance of like what is the core reason. And his response was like so hostile. He hates talking about it. Anytime things get like meta like that, he always leaves the room. He's an ESTP. He's not comfortable with his emotions like that. But he always will just fucking just leave the room. And in one instance, he didn't. And he was like, he just got super hostile, and he was like, Zach, you think you're so fucking smart, and you and all these psychologist people think you're so fucking smart. And he's like, look, I don't have any inherent issues wrong with me. I don't have any addiction problem. The main core of it is that I like having fun with my friends. That's it. And that was the day that I was convinced that it is useless to try to rehabilitate someone unless they want to do it themselves.
I agree with that entirely.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, when I was in like this aftercare program after I went to rehab. There was essentially a bunch of rich kids, including myself. My family is well off, that were essentially being babysat by these people. And almost no one there was taking it seriously, and they were wasting tons of their parents' money. And I literally wanted to go up to every single one of them and be like, go back out there and go do drugs until you want to come here. Because if you don't want to actually change or get clean or do it, get your life together, you're not going to. So
how long did it take you to decide that quitting the drug that was giving you problems didn't mean quitting everything necessarily?
Fairly recently, like maybe a year ago.
How long were you completely sober for?
Close to somewhere between 3.5 and 5 years.
Let's see. Well, for me, I was only completely sober. I was never completely sober at the beginning by their standards, right?
I was.
And then I got shipped off to China, and I was completely sober for a few months. And then eventually I came back, and I resumed how it was when I had left. So, when I got sober and quit drinking, I had this sort of willful blindness or intentional separation between what I was doing and what I was saying and what I was believing, so that I'd be 100% AA crazy and just sort of unaware of the fact that I was still, smoking weed and stuff, right? And taking my prescription medication in ways that weren't always as prescribed, perhaps. Hard to say, but in theory, let's say. So, but for me, the issue was about alcohol. And so I just sort of compartmentalized those things and just chose not to examine the contradictions for a while. And then eventually when I had to examine the contradictions a little bit more carefully and I wasn't able to sort of live a lie anymore, then I ended up having to break with AA because they don't have that flexibility. And I don't blame them for not having that flexibility, but it doesn't work for me.
No, and I understand that. I feel like some people do need that, and it does have a place. But for me, I played the double life for a good portion of time. I was completely clean, and then I stopped being completely clean. But I was living two lives. I was pretending that I was completely clean to one set of people, and pretending I was part of the whole kind of AA NA lifestyle. And then I was really someone else to another group of people. And when I finally kind of couldn't pull that off any longer, it was around the same time I was coming out as transgender. And I was kind of essentially cut off from my financial backing by my family, so to speak. And the help I was offered along the lines of, it didn't really work for me, and I kind of decided that I was going to focus on the things I thought were important in my life and not worry about the rest of it, all the rest of that shit. It worked out for me. I now have a great job. I'm in a great place in my life, better than I could have ever imagined. So, I don't know. It was kind of one of those, like, I don't really trust anything anyone tells me about anything. There's really very few absolutes, and the absolutes out there, I don't think we know them for the most part. So the science changes every 5 years. They say something different about this crap that they're talking about. You can't trust the science.
It's weird living with an addict. This, like, currently, is if he's, right now he has complete restriction. Like, he's clean at the moment. But as soon as he gets out of house arrest, like, I know he's gonna be right back into that shit. I know it. Like, and it's like there's nothing I can do about it. There's nothing my parents will do about it because they still have some sort of, like, inclination toward him emotionally. So they'll yeah, exactly. And my mom's justification for it is that she doesn't want to throw him to that lifestyle. But he's already in it. He's already in it.
It sounds to me like he's not even addicted to any particular drug. He's just addicted to getting loaded with whatever as much as he can, and being an ESTP.
I don't know what's good for an ESTP in that situation. The best thing that ever happened to me was being kind of cut off and thrown to the wolves, and I didn't have a choice but to make things get better, and I did.
Mm-hmm. Well, see, like, that's
for me,
I don't
it was
like
a matter of of my wife threatening to leave that motivated me. Of me believing her that she was gonna leave, and so then, because you have a long history of not doing what ended up happening with you, but that may not be because of me, maybe because of the circumstances, right? For me, I have a long history of walking close to the edge of the cliff and then scrambling back to make sure I'm safe. You know.
Regarding the ESTP thing, I mean, the SE dom is definitely gonna have something to do with it, but I don't like reducing it to just that. You know, like I can't excuse his behavior, or I can't excuse how his behavior affects people around him, including me, by just reducing him down to a personality type. Like, that's unacceptable to me.
Oh no, but
I ultimately don't care what he does, like, to himself, as long as it doesn't affect other people. But the fact is, it does affect us. You know.
Yeah, but he doesn't see that. And I was there. I've been in that place where you're doing shit that's like totally wrecking the people around you. And even if you kind of know that it is, convince yourself that it's not. Because if you let yourself believe that you're ruining the people's lives around you that you love, then you have to stop doing what you love doing.
That's why, like,
to the extent that you can't avoid that reality, the solution is more of the same drugs.
Wait, what do you mean?
Are narcissists addicted to getting everything they want? I'd say.
Sure.
Is this a good way of putting it?
But I don't know, if I had control over the situation, like if I was in my mother's or my father can't really do much about it. It's primarily my mother because they're separated, right? But if I was in my mother's position, he would have been way fucking out of here by now. You know, like I would not put up with that shit. If I had a
You didn't love him.
What?
It wouldn't mean you didn't love him.
I know.
I think a lot of people mistake enabling for love.
Look, it's more complicated than that. I mean, the thing is, you know, this is why I guess loyalty is hugely important to me, is in part because my family, people near me, during hard times, they didn't abandon me. They took care of me. And you know what? I needed that. Yeah, I needed my wife to threaten to leave, but I needed to be honest, right? It had to be honest or it wouldn't have meant anything. She had to actually get to the point where she was ready to go. But they were like, you can't manufacture that shit. And the thing is, I don't think I would have been better off if somehow somebody had come down hard on me and I had managed to not avoid consequences and yada, yada, yada. I think I would have another path that potentially could have produced a different version of me. But I think I'm unusually attuned to affording others second chances, perhaps because of my own life experience.
I would agree with that.
See, that's where I think we differ. Like, I just, like, this anecdotal experience has ruined any of my. I just can't give people second chances. You know, like, he's a fucking daughter, and he's like out giving me like hedonism to fucking feel like whatever he's experiencing, and it's like, it's just unacceptable to me. It's just it's moral perversion.
He has a daughter.
Have you been remotely close to this in your past? I mean, you kind of strike me as kind of like this kind of white knight character that's never done anything wrong.
Who, me?
I don't know why. You just kind of come off as like.
So I have to go out and murder someone to experience it, to identify it as the wrong behavior.
No, not at all. Not at all what I'm saying. But I feel like in this particular conversation, me and Eric have a kind of like darker past when it comes to addiction and things like that. You don't have any personal experience with that, so it is harder for you to understand the other angle of it.
Look, here's what I would say about the ESTP is I would guess, based on this fairly limited, extremely limited pool of data I'm looking at here, which is a couple of people I have in mind, but I would guess that perhaps religion is the way to solve his problems.
Yeah, probably.
Possibly.
I mean, you look at EJR&D, your friend, Homeboy Banana Pants, both of them ESTP, both of them religious. I know another ESTP who was sober for a while as well and is sort of segueing back into
the thing is
in
like
toxicant usage, but I think he was also fairly faith driven.
I realize that I realize what you're saying, Tiffany, that I don't have the experience to speak of it, but from how his experiences have affected my life and the people around me, in my ideal society, these people would be excised, and I wouldn't think a second thought about it.
Yeah, but here's the thing: I wouldn't be here.
Yeah, neither would I.
Then I'm
We would
forced.
be
I mean,
friends.
I'd be
I would live in
indifferent.
an island. That's some bad shit.
Drugs are hard, man.
You probably
Well,
would.
Well, like I understand the struggles through it, but like this is just like something that, based on my own experiences, I just can't deal with. Like I just I won't deal with it. Like if in my ideal
Well, that's
society, I
fine.
wouldn't deal with
I
it.
understand you have strong feelings about it and everything, but understand that people do change, people do redeem themselves, and it may not be sufficient to forgive stuff that you feel he's done that's horrible to your family. That's certainly your prerogative, it's not up to the addict to determine whether the other person is going to forgive him or not. It's not us to tell you that you ought to or not, because you've experienced those things. That's your relationship with him, not ours. I will tell you this, though, that sometimes the people you least imagine can possibly get over this sort of thing are the ones who get sober.
Totally true.
Perhaps.
Also, one thing they tell the addicts all the time in treatment and AA, etc., the thing about resentment and how resentment's only really. Are you holding a grudge resentment against him? All it does is hurt you.
He's already hurting us. Like
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm saying that holding any kind of resentment towards it is not useful in any way. It's
right.
just
I should just look past the behavior, right?
What?
I should just look past the behavior, right?
No, not at all. I'm not saying any of the behavior is excused. I think that enabling him is probably the worst thing that can be done. But at the same time, I don't think he shouldn't be forgiven. He's not redeemable. And I don't even know him. I don't even know what he's done. But I tend to think that anyone really should have, at least have the chance to be redeemed.
I mean, he's in many
And
chances.
it's just hard for me to feel otherwise, just because otherwise I wouldn't be here.
Well, how I personally view it is, in my ideal society, all hard drugs would be banned, and anyone who's caught engaging in the use of drugs, the use of substances like that, would be excised, because they would choose to revoke their implicit contract with my society.
Well, in my ideal society, just to give my kind of version of it, there would be use of drugs would not be illegal. If someone wants to do whatever they want to do to their body, that's fine. They can do whatever they want. Now, if someone gets addicted to heroin, let's say, and that addiction to heroin causes them to, when they run out of money, rob a store and shoot someone and kill someone to gain more heroin, I'm not going to blame the heroin. I'm going to say you arrest that person for killing someone and robbing a store. You don't arrest them for using heroin. I mean, that's, just a overstated example, but it's just, punish the crime, not the cause of the crime. I don't know. That would be my ideal way. That's how I think it should work. I don't think this is a society should decide what individuals do with their own body, but I'm a libertarian in that way.
Fair enough.
How do you feel about this, Eric?
Your mic's muted. Oh wait, he might be talking to someone else.
Oh, maybe he's not even listening to it. I don't know.
But I will, to go back though, I think the argument that because I haven't experienced it, I don't have any justification is the same shit of like white privilege and mansplaining, all that shit is the same thing as that, and it's completely it's fallacy.
And I wasn't taking it to that extreme. I was just saying that it's harder for you to have the same kind of understanding as someone who comes from that background would. I'm not saying that you can't understand it. I'm not saying that you can't have an opinion on it or you shouldn't. You have your experience on it. It's just as valid as my experience.
Mm-hmm. How long has this gone on?
I don't know.
It's gone on for almost 30 minutes. I might as well just go ahead and wrap this up. Thanks for watching Talking to Famous People. Cheers.